What if today was the day everything changed for you? What if the way you see yourself, the way you carry yourself, and the way you choose your next step could completely rewrite the rest of your life? Think about it for a moment. How many times have you felt stuck, weighed down by old choices, replaying mistakes, or carrying regrets that feel too heavy to put down? And how many times have you whispered to yourself in the quiet of the night, I want more. I know I can be more. That voice inside you is not an illusion. It is not weakness. It is your truth breaking through the noise, asking to be heard. We live in a world that constantly tells us who to be, how to act, and when to stop dreaming. It's easy to hand over the steering wheel of your life without even realizing it. Expectations from family, pressure from society, comparisons to others, they all push you into lanes that don't belong to you. But deep down, there's a part of you that knows the truth. You were not born to drift. You were born to drive. As long as you allow someone else or something else to control where you're going, you'll never arrive at the life you truly deserve. Taking control of your life is not about perfection. It's not about waiting until you feel completely ready, confident, or fearless. It's about one simple but powerful choice, refusing to let yesterday define tomorrow. When you decide that your past mistakes, failures, or missed chances are lessons and not prisons, you immediately create space for a new story. You don't have to keep looking back. You don't have to keep reopening wounds that were never meant to be permanent. You can heal and you can move forward with strength. Here's the truth. Fear will always try to whisper in your ear. It will say, what if you fail again? What if people laugh? What if you're not enough? But fear is a liar. Fear only survives when you feed it with hesitation and doubt. The moment you step into action, the moment you say, I choose my own path, fear begins to shrink, and in its place, courage grows. The kind of courage that builds momentum, the kind of courage that reminds you that the power was always in your hands. So why should you stay with me through this journey? Because what lies ahead is not just information, it's transformation. Each word you hear will plant a seed. Seeds of confidence, seeds of discipline, seeds of clarity. And if you let them grow, you will walk away from this not just inspired, but equipped. Equipped to stop living on autopilot, equipped to reclaim your focus, and equipped to finally believe in the future you've always imagined. There is a reason you are listening right now. Maybe it's not random at all. Maybe this is your moment to stop existing and start living, to break free from everything that has held you back, and to prove to yourself that you are capable of so much more than the world ever told you. Don't let this moment pass. Don't silence that voice inside you any longer. Stay here, stay present, and together we'll build the courage to take control of your life and never look back. Control begins with awareness. You cannot change what you do not see. Too often, people move through life on autopilot, repeating the same patterns, reacting to the same triggers, and wondering why nothing feels different. The truth is, the first act of taking control is pausing long enough to notice where your energy is going. What thoughts are you feeding every day? What beliefs are you carrying without question? What voices in your mind are guiding your choices, your own or someone else's? The answers may feel uncomfortable, but they are the foundation of freedom. Your mind is the battlefield where victory is decided long before your actions follow. Every limiting belief you've ever held, I'm not good enough, it's too late for me, I'll never change, is a chain keeping you tied to the version of yourself you've outgrown. But chains only hold power if you refuse to test them. The moment you push back, the moment you say, what if I can? Instead of what if I can't? Those chains begin to crack. And with each crack, light breaks through. That light is possibility. That light is the life you've been waiting to live. Science shows us that the brain rewires itself through repeated focus. Every thought, every decision, every act of courage builds new connections. When you choose to focus on growth instead of fear, on action instead of hesitation, your mind physically changes. That is not wishful thinking. That is biology. You have within you the ability to create a stronger, braver, more disciplined self, not someday, but now. Every single choice is either reinforcing the old you or building the new you. Which one will you choose to feed today? Taking control also means setting boundaries with what no longer serves you. Some relationships drain you, some habits weaken you, some environments shrink you. And if you allow them to stay, they will keep pulling you back into the cycle you are fighting to escape. Control does not mean controlling the world around you. It means deciding what gets access to your energy, your time, and your heart. The moment you stop giving power to what holds you back, you begin to gather power for what pushes you forward. And that shift, though small at first, grows into unstoppable momentum. But control is not about harshness. It is about compassion. Compassion for the part of you that struggled, the part of you that stumbled, the part of you that doubted. You cannot fight for your future if you are still punishing yourself for your past. Letting go is not weakness, it is strength. It takes strength to release the shame, to forgive yourself, and to believe that you deserve a life worth fighting for. Because until you believe that, every effort will feel like resistance instead of liberation. Right now, there's a stronger version of you waiting to emerge. A version that no longer asks for permission. A version that does not shrink when challenged. A version that owns every decision with clarity and courage. That version is not far away. It is not hidden. It is you, without the fear, without the chains, without the excuses. And the only way to meet that version of yourself is to take control now, not later, and step boldly into the life that has always been waiting for you. Power begins the moment you realize that your decisions, not your circumstances, define your destiny. Life will always throw challenges at you. There will always be uncertainty, setbacks, and moments when the path ahead feels blurred. But those external conditions are not what control you. What controls you is the meaning you attach to them. Two people can face the same obstacle, and one will crumble while the other rises. The difference is not luck, not talent, but choice. Choice to see pain as a wall or as a doorway. Choice to see failure as an ending or as a beginning. Choice to stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I do now? Every day you are given hundreds of chances to reclaim that power. The choice to wake up and face the day instead of hiding under the weight of excuses. Choice to move your body, to strengthen your health, to sharpen your mind, even when comfort whispers for you to stay still. The choice to speak with truth, to chase clarity, to align your actions with the life you actually want. These are not small things. These are the bricks that build transformation. And when you stack enough of them, the foundation of a new life begins to rise. The challenge most people face is not that they don't know what to do, but that they forget they are capable of doing it. They wait for permission. They wait for perfect timing. They wait for motivation to magically appear. But waiting is the language of surrender. Waiting keeps you chained to the illusion that one day it will all feel easy. It won't. And that's good news, because it means the people who are willing to act, even when it isn't easy, are the ones who create the lives others only dream about. Psychology tells us that confidence does not come before action. It comes after. Action is the soil where confidence grows. You do not build self-belief by sitting in silence hoping to feel stronger. You build it by moving, by trying, by failing, and by realizing that failure didn't destroy you. Every step forward proves to your own mind that you are capable of more than you thought. Each time you rise, each time you take control instead of shrinking back, your brain rewires itself to trust you. And once you trust yourself, nothing can stop you. But you must commit. Half-hearted effort will not break old cycles. A casual desire will not rewrite your story. Real change demands a decision so powerful that leaves no room for retreat. Burn the bridges to doubt. Close the door on excuses. Tell yourself, I do not go back. I do not surrender. I will not live another day on repeat. That decision is not just an idea. It is a command to your mind, your body, and your spirit that you are ready to rise. Somewhere deep inside, you already know the truth. You are not powerless. You are not broken. You are not destined to live small. You were built for growth, for expansion, for greatness. But greatness does not wait for the perfect moment. It answers the call of courage. And that call is ringing inside you right now, asking if you will take control, step forward, and refuse to ever look back. The turning point of your life begins the moment you decide to take full responsibility for everything within your control. Responsibility is not a burden, it is freedom. When you stop blaming the past, when you stop pointing fingers at circumstances, when you stop waiting for others to fix what only you can fix, you step into the driver's seat of your own existence. Blame keeps you powerless. Responsibility gives you strength. Every time you say, this is mine to change, you reclaim authority over your life. That authority is what builds unshakable confidence, because it reminds you that the direction of your future is not in anyone else's hands but yours. The truth is, excuses are comforting. They allow you to avoid the discomfort of growth. They allow you to sit still while convincing yourself you're doing your best. But deep inside, you know that every excuse robs you of progress. Every excuse delays the life you are capable of living. The more you feed excuses, the smaller your world becomes. The moment you starve them, the moment you refuse to accept them, the walls around you start to crumble. And when those walls fall, possibility rushes in. Responsibility is powerful because it shifts the question from why is this happening to me to what can I do about it? That simple shift transforms every setback into a chance to grow stronger. Failure stop being proof that you can't and start being evidence that you are trying, learning, adapting. Obstacles stop feeling like punishments and start feeling like opportunities. Life does not get easier. You get stronger. And strength is built every time you choose action over blame, growth over bitterness, responsibility over avoidance. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control. It means believing that your actions, not luck or fate, determine your outcomes. People who live this way consistently experience more success, more resilience, and more happiness. Not because their lives are free of struggle, but because they never surrender their power. They know that while they cannot control every event, they can always control their response. And your response, repeated over time, is what builds the trajectory of your entire life. Ask yourself right now, are you giving away your power? Are you letting your past, your environment, or the opinions of others dictate your choices? Or are you standing up and declaring that your life is yours to shape? The difference between those two paths is the difference between regret and fulfillment. One keeps you chained to a life you never wanted. The other sets you free to build the life you've always imagined. Taking responsibility does not mean you will never feel fear again. It does not mean you will always have the answers. It means you will no longer allow fear or uncertainty to decide for you. You will act even when it's hard. You will move even when it's unclear. You will rise even when it feels impossible. Because you know that no one else can walk this path for you. It belongs to you and only you. Right now, you have the chance to draw a line in the sand, to declare that from this moment forward, you own your choices, you own your growth, you own your future. And when you live with that kind of responsibility, there is nothing you cannot rebuild, nothing you cannot overcome, and nothing you cannot create. That is the power of taking control. That is the power of never looking back. Control requires clarity. You cannot lead yourself toward a life of purpose if you don't know where you are going. Too many people drift through their days without direction, pulled by distractions, drowning in noise, chasing what others tell them is important. Without clarity, you confuse busyness for progress. You mistake movement for growth. You end up exhausted but unfulfilled, working hard yet wondering why nothing feels meaningful. The truth is, without a clear vision of the life you want, you are simply reacting instead of creating. And creation is the only path to transformation. Clarity begins with asking yourself the questions you've been avoiding. What do you truly want? Not what you think you're supposed to want. What would make you wake up every morning with fire in your chest? What values matter to you so deeply that you are unwilling to compromise them anymore? These questions may feel uncomfortable, but they are the key to unlocking the direction you've been searching for. If you do not decide what matters, someone else will decide for you. And living by someone else's script will never give you fulfillment. Once you see your vision clearly, something shifts inside you. Distractions lose their power. The opinions of others stop carrying the same weight. Procrastination fades because you finally have a reason strong enough to pull you forward. Your brain is wired to seek meaning. And when you attach meaning to your actions, discipline becomes natural. You are no longer forcing yourself to change. You are aligning with who you were always meant to be. That alignment creates energy. That energy creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. Psychology tells us that purpose fuels resilience. People who know their why are far more likely to endure struggle, to rise after failure, to keep moving when others quit. Clarity doesn't remove difficulty, it gives difficulty meaning. Every challenge becomes a test that strengthens you. Every setback becomes part of the story you are proud to tell. Without clarity, struggle feels pointless. With clarity, struggle becomes the price of greatness. You must dare to see the future version of yourself, even if it feels far away. Imagine the strength in your eyes, the certainty in your step, the calm in your voice when you know you are living your truth. That vision is not fantasy. It is a preview of what is possible when you stop settling and start building. Hold that image close. Let it guide your choices. Every time you face a decision, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to that version of me? Or does it keep me chained to who I no longer want to be? That simple question, repeated daily, will transform your entire life. Clarity is not given to you, it is created by you. It comes from silence, reflection, honesty, and courage. It comes from peeling back the layers of doubt, fear, and expectation until all that is left is your truth. And once you find that truth, you must protect it with everything you have, because your clarity is your compass. It will keep you steady when life feels chaotic. It will remind you why you cannot quit, why you cannot go back, and why you must keep moving forward. With clarity, you do not just take control of your life, you direct it with purpose, power, and unstoppable momentum. Clarity without discipline fades into wishful thinking. A vision without action is nothing more than a dream collecting dust. Control is built not by what you occasionally do, but by what you commit to doing every single day. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It is the proof to yourself that you are serious, that your words are not empty promises, that your life is moving because you are moving. Without discipline, even the strongest motivation disappears. With discipline, even on the days you feel weak, you keep moving forward. Discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. It frees you from the prison of regret. It frees you from the constant weight of what ifs. It frees you from the endless cycle of starting over every time you follow through on what you said you would do. You break the chains of inconsistency that once held you back. And each small act of discipline compounds. One workout becomes strength. 1 hour of focus becomes progress. One day of saying no to distraction becomes a habit of saying yes to growth. The results may not show instantly, but they are stacking in silence, building a future you will one day thank yourself for. The mind craves comfort. It will try to pull you back into the easy path, the familiar path, the path that requires the least effort. But comfort is a thief. It steals potential. It steals courage. It steals the pride you could feel from knowing you refuse to settle. Discipline is the armor you wear against comfort. Discipline whispers, I know this is hard, but I will do it anyway. And when you live by that standard, you rise above the average. You step into a life most people only dream about but never touch, because they surrendered to comfort instead of fighting for growth. Research shows that consistency rewires your brain. Every time you act with discipline, you strengthen neural pathways that make future actions easier. What feels like a mountain today will feel like a step tomorrow if you keep showing up. This is why discipline is more powerful than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. It becomes who you are. It becomes the proof that you are no longer controlled by impulse, but by intention. Ask yourself, what do you want more? The short-term relief of giving in or the long-term power of following through? Each time you choose discipline, you cast a vote for the future version of yourself. Each time you choose excuses, you cast a vote for the old version of yourself you are trying to leave behind. The tally is in your hands. Which version of you are you building with your choices right now? Discipline is love in action. Love for your future self. Love for the life you know you deserve. Love for the purpose that burns inside you waiting to be fulfilled. When you live with discipline, you are telling yourself, I am worth it. My vision is worth it. My future is worth it. That belief transforms everything. And once it takes root, you no longer need to force discipline. It becomes the natural expression of who you are becoming. With discipline, you no longer drift. You move with precision, with power, with certainty. Each day becomes another step toward mastery. Each choice becomes a declaration that you are in control. And with enough days stacked together, you will look back and realize you are living the life you once thought was impossible because you built it brick by brick through the power of discipline. Discipline sets the foundation, but belief gives it direction. You can take action every day, but if deep down you do not believe you are worthy of the life you are building, you will sabotage your own progress. Your mind will find ways to pull you back to where you started. That is why belief is not optional. It is essential. You must rewire the way you see yourself. You must begin to speak to yourself, not as a failure, not as a victim of the past, but as the creator of your future. Because every identity begins as a thought, and every thought repeated long enough becomes the truth you live by. Most people carry beliefs that were never theirs to begin with. Words spoken by parents, teachers, friends, or strangers in moments of anger or doubt. Words that cut deep and left scars. Over time, those scars harden into beliefs like, I'm not enough, I'm not smart enough, I'll never change. But beliefs are not facts. They are choices. And the moment you challenge them, they begin to lose their power. The same mind that once convinced you to stay small can be trained to convince you to rise. That is the power of self-belief. Psychologists call this self-efficacy, the belief in your own ability to succeed. Studies show that people who cultivate self-efficacy achieve more, persist longer, and recover faster from setbacks, not because they are free from failure, but because they interpret failure differently. To them, failure is not proof they are unworthy. It is proof they are learning. When you believe in yourself, challenges do not shrink you, they sharpen you. And every time you overcome one, your belief deepens, creating a cycle of growth that compounds over time. Belief is not blind optimism. It is not pretending everything is perfect. Belief is choosing to trust yourself even when fear tries to argue otherwise. It is deciding that no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again. It is refusing to let the voices of doubt be louder than the voice of possibility inside you. Belief is action. Every time you step forward in faith, even when the outcome is uncertain, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And once you trust yourself, there is no limit to what you can build. Ask yourself, what would change in your life if you fully believed you were capable of creating it? How differently would you act? How much stronger would your choices be if you knew without question that success was inevitable? That version of you already exists inside. It is waiting for you to silence the lies, to release the weight of old labels, and to step into the identity of someone who refuses to quit. Belief is a practice. It is something you build every day through the words you speak, the choices you make, and the standards you set. When you affirm your strength, when you follow through on your commitments, when you surround yourself with environments that lift you higher, you are feeding belief. And the more you feed it, the stronger it becomes. With unshakable belief, discipline is no longer a struggle. Action is no longer forced. You move with certainty, with power, with conviction. You stop negotiating with your doubts and start living as though your vision is already yours. That is the moment transformation begins. That is the moment you take full control of your life and realize there is no reason to ever look back. Belief creates strength within you, but strength grows even greater when it is supported by the environment you choose. You cannot plant seeds of greatness in toxic soil and expect them to bloom. The people you spend time with, the places you surround yourself with, the voices you allow into your mind, they shape your growth more than you realize. If you want to take control of your life, you must take control of your environment. Because no matter how disciplined or determined you are, a negative environment will slowly drain your energy, cloud your clarity, and weaken your belief. Look closely at the voices around you. Do they push you forward or hold you back? Do they remind you of your strength or feed your doubt? Humans are wired to mirror the people around them. When you surround yourself with negativity, you absorb it. When you surround yourself with excuses, you start making them. But when you surround yourself with ambition, resilience, and courage, you rise to match it. The energy around you is contagious, and you must choose wisely what you allow to spread into your life. Creating the right environment does not mean cutting everyone out. It means setting boundaries. It means choosing carefully who gets access to your time, your mind, and your heart. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary. You cannot give your best to the world if you are constantly drained by people and situations that pull you down. When you take control of your environment, you create a space where your discipline thrives, where your belief deepens, and where your vision has room to grow without being suffocated by doubt. Research proves this truth. Studies show that people who surround themselves with supportive, growth-minded peers are far more likely to succeed, not because the journey is easier, but because they are reminded daily that growth is possible. Encouragement and accountability are powerful forces. When others believe in you, it reinforces your own belief. When others are striving for more, it pushes you to elevate your standards. Together, growth multiplies. Alone, it is too easy to slip back into old habits. But the environment is not only about people, it is also about what you consume. The books you read, the content you watch, the thoughts you entertain. These are seeds planted in your mind. If you constantly consume negativity, fear, and doubt, your mind will reflect it. If you feed yourself knowledge, inspiration, and truth, your mind will grow stronger, sharper, and more resilient. You have more control over this than you think. Every choice you make about what to allow into your world is either lifting you higher or holding you back. Ask yourself, are you living in an environment that reflects the future you want or the past you are trying to escape? The answer is not about perfection, but direction. If you want to rise, build an environment that supports the rise. Let your surroundings be a mirror of the person you are becoming, not a reminder of the person you used to be. When you take control of your environment, you remove friction from your path. You make it easier to stay disciplined, easier to stay focused, easier to stay committed. Growth stops feeling like a constant battle and starts feeling like a natural progression. And when your world aligns with your vision, every step forward feels inevitable. That is when you realize you are no longer just surviving your environment. You are creating it. And in creating it, you are creating yourself. Even with the right environment, your life will not transform without courage. Every great change demands that you step into the unknown, and the unknown is always uncomfortable. Fear will try to convince you to stay where it feels safe, where the ground is familiar, where the risk is small. But safety is a cage, and comfort is a slow death. You cannot rise while clinging to what you already know. Growth requires movement into uncertainty, and courage is the force that carries you there. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. The strongest people in history did not move forward because they felt fearless. They moved forward because their vision mattered more than their fear. Fear will always be present, but so will possibility. And when you choose possibility over fear, you begin to break through barriers that once seemed impossible. Courage is the proof that you value your future more than your comfort. Every time you act with courage, something shifts inside you. The voice of fear becomes weaker, and the voice of strength grows louder. Your mind begins to remember that fear did not destroy you, that you survived, that you are capable. Over time, courage becomes less of a rare act and more of a way of life. You stop waiting for certainty and start building it through action. You stop letting fear decide and start letting faith lead. This is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives, by consistently choosing courage over hesitation. Psychology explains this through exposure. The more you face what you fear, the less power it has over you. The brain adapts, the nervous system calms, and what once felt impossible becomes normal. Courage is not built in silence. It is built in motion. It is built in the small daily acts of stepping forward when everything in you wants to step back. And each step forward creates evidence that you are stronger than you thought, evidence that fear is nothing more than a shadow, evidence that you are capable of far more than your mind once allowed you to believe. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have you lost because you let fear win? How many times did you know what you wanted, but you stayed quiet, stayed still, stayed safe? How much longer are you willing to let fear write your story? At some point, you must decide that fear is no longer the author of your life. You are. And your story deserves to be written in bold ink, not erased by hesitation. Courage does not guarantee success every time. Sometimes you will fall, sometimes you will stumble. But every time you act with courage, you move closer to the life you want. You may fall, but you will fall forward. You may stumble, but you will stumble on a path that is taking you higher. And each fall teaches you. Each stumble strengthens you. Each moment of courage shapes you into the person who no longer looks back because the future is too compelling to ignore. When you embrace courage, you unlock doors that once seemed closed. You discover possibilities that fear tried to hide. You begin to live, not just exist. And with every act of courage, you take control of your life in the deepest way possible by refusing to let fear dictate who you are and where you are going. Courage opens the door, but persistence keeps you walking through it. Many people find the strength to start, but far fewer find the endurance to continue when the excitement fades and the struggle intensifies. The truth is, the life you want will not be handed to you in a single moment of bravery. It is built in the countless moments when you choose to keep going, even when progress feels invisible, even when results are slow, even when your mind whispers that it would be easier to give up. Persistence is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Persistence is not glamorous. It does not always feel inspiring. It often feels like repetition, like discipline stretched over days, weeks, months, and years. But persistence is where transformation happens. Every drop of effort compounds into something greater than you can see in a moment. Just as water cuts through stone, not by force but by consistency, your persistence reshapes your life in ways that may not be visible today, but will be undeniable tomorrow. Psychology calls this grit, the ability to sustain effort and passion over the long term. Studies show that grit predicts success more strongly than talent or intelligence. It is not about how gifted you are, it's about how committed you are. The people who rise are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who keep standing back up. Every setback is fuel. Every obstacle is training. Every failure is proof that you are still in the fight, and persistence keeps you in that fight long enough to win. There will be days when everything inside you screams to quit. Days when the progress feels too small, when the weight feels too heavy, when the reward feels too far away. Those are the defining moments. Those are the moments that separate the old you from the new you. If you quit, you go back to the life you were desperate to escape. If you persist, you break through the wall and step closer to the life you deserve. Pain is temporary, but regret is permanent. Persistence ensures you carry strength forward instead of regret backward. Ask yourself, how badly do you want this life? Do you want it enough to endure discomfort, to push through doubt, to keep moving when no one is watching and no one is cheering? Do you want it enough to trade short-term ease for long-term freedom? Because persistence demands that kind of decision. It demands loyalty to your vision even when the world tries to distract you. It demands a commitment so strong that quitting is no longer an option in your vocabulary. The truth is, persistence builds identity. Every time you choose to keep going, you are casting a vote for the version of yourself who does not back down. You are proving that your future matters more than your excuses. You are showing yourself that nothing can stop you except yourself. And once you live with that kind of persistence, you realize that obstacles are not barriers, but stepping stones, each one strengthening you for the next level of your life. With persistence, every challenge becomes part of your transformation. Every struggle becomes part of your strength. You stop fearing the length of the journey because you trust your ability to endure it. And in that endurance, you find power, freedom, and a sense of unstoppable momentum. That is when control becomes unshakable. That is when looking back is no longer even an option, because the road ahead is the only place your eyes belong. Persistence teaches you the power of patience, but patience alone is not enough. To take full control of your life, you must also master focus. Focus is the ability to direct your energy toward what truly matters and to refuse the endless distractions that beg for your attention. In today's world, distraction is the greatest thief of destiny. Every wasted hour, every moment lost to meaningless noise is energy stolen from the life you could be building. If you want to rise, you must learn to cut through the noise and keep your eyes fixed on the path that leads to your vision. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it with intensity. The human brain is not designed to handle everything at once. When you scatter your attention, you dilute your power. But when you concentrate it, you become unstoppable. A single beam of light can warm a room, but when focused, it can cut through steel. The same is true for your life. Your energy scattered will feel weak. Your energy focused will create breakthroughs that once felt impossible. Every time you say yes to distraction, you are saying no to your future. Every time you give in to the pull of what does not matter, you are delaying the life that does. The average person spends more time reacting than creating, more time consuming than building, more time scrolling than living. But you are not average. You are not here to waste your life in the shadows of distraction. You are here to rise, to build, to create something that matters. And that begins by reclaiming your focus. Psychologists describe attention as a limited resource. What you give it to shapes your reality. If you constantly give your attention to fear, to doubt, to negativity, your reality will reflect it. If you give your attention to growth, to clarity, to action, your reality will transform. Your focus is the most valuable currency you have. Spend it wisely, because wherever your focus goes, your energy flows, and wherever your energy flows, your life grows. Ask yourself, how much of your focus has been wasted on things that do not serve you? How often do you find yourself chasing distractions instead of chasing your vision? Imagine the life you could create if every ounce of that energy was directed towards your purpose. Imagine the speed at which you could grow, the power you could unlock, the breakthroughs you could achieve. That life is possible. It is waiting. But it requires you to stop scattering your attention and start sharpening it into a force that cannot be ignored. Focus is not about perfection. You will get distracted. You will lose sight at times. But what matters is the ability to return, to realign, to choose again. Every time you bring your focus back to what matters, you strengthen your ability to hold it longer. And the more you practice, the sharper it becomes. Focus is a skill, and like every skill, it grows with use. When you master focus, the world around you begins to shift. Noise fades into the background. Doubt loses its grip. The future becomes clearer. And you realize that control is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things with unwavering intensity. That intensity builds momentum. That momentum builds transformation. And that transformation becomes unstoppable when your focus is no longer scattered but locked onto the vision of the life you refuse to live without. Focus clears the path, but discipline is what keeps you walking it. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement, between the life you want and the life you live. Without discipline, your dreams remain ideas. With discipline, those ideas turn into reality. Discipline is the invisible force that separates those who talk about change from those who embody it. It is not about waiting for motivation, because motivation comes and goes. Discipline is about showing up regardless of how you feel, regardless of the excuses your mind invents, regardless of the comfort calling you back to where you began. Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. It is the freedom of knowing that you can rely on yourself, that your actions are not controlled by fleeting emotions, but by a deeper commitment to who you are becoming. Every time you choose discipline, you are taking back control from the impulses that once held you captive. You are saying, I am in charge of my life. My choices are mine. My future is mine. That is power. That is transformation. Science shows that willpower works like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The first steps feel heavy, but each step builds strength. And soon what once felt impossible becomes automatic. Discipline rewires your brain. It turns resistance into resilience. It transforms hesitation into habit. It carves new pathways in your mind that make excellence your default instead of your struggle. Every act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to be. Waking up early when you want to sleep in. Saying no to distractions when they tempt you. Choosing progress over comfort when comfort feels easier. These moments may feel small, but they add up. They shape your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. Discipline is not about the task itself. It is about who you become because of the task. You become stronger, you become sharper, you become unstoppable. There will be resistance. Your mind will try to convince you that discipline is too hard, that you can skip today, that you can try again tomorrow. But tomorrow is just another chance to delay. The truth is, discipline is never easier tomorrow. It is always easier now. The longer you wait, the more power you give to your old patterns. The moment you act, you weaken them. You reclaim control. You take another step into the life you're building. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if discipline was no longer a struggle but a way of being? What doors would open if you could trust yourself to follow through, no matter how you feel? Imagine the strength of living a life where excuses no longer control you, where comfort no longer defines you, where action is not a question but a certainty, that life is within your reach, is waiting for you on the other side of discipline. Discipline is the foundation of self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, you build trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, there's nothing you cannot achieve. Control is no longer a dream but a reality. You stop fighting against yourself and start building with yourself. That is when discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like freedom. That is when you realize that nothing can hold you back because you have built the strength to carry yourself forward. Discipline gives you control, but clarity gives you direction. Without clarity, even the strongest discipline can lead you in circles. You can work hard, stay consistent, and push with intensity. But if you are not clear about where you are going, you will never arrive. Clarity is the compass of transformation. It strips away confusion and gives every action meaning. When you know exactly who you want to become, what you want to achieve, and why it matters, discipline no longer feels like a burden. It feels like alignment. Clarity begins with asking the hard questions. What do you truly want from your life? not what others expect from you, not what society tells you should matter. What do you, deep in your heart, long for? Most people never take the time to answer this. They move through life reacting, chasing distractions, and climbing ladders only to realize those ladders were leaning against the wrong walls. But you are not here to wander. You are here to take control, and that begins with vision. Your mind is wired to pursue what it can clearly see. Neuroscience shows that when you imagine your future vividly, your brain begins to treat it as reality. The clearer the vision, the stronger the pull. Clarity fuels persistence. Clarity sharpens focus. Clarity strengthens discipline. Because when you know why you are moving forward, the struggles no longer feel meaningless. They become part of something bigger. Every sacrifice becomes an investment. Every challenge becomes proof that your vision is worth fighting for. The danger is not failure. The real danger is drifting, living without direction, waking up without purpose, spending days reacting instead of creating. Drifting feels easy, but it leads to emptiness. Control over your life comes from clarity, because clarity gives you a destination. Without it, you are like a ship without a map, tossed around by the winds of circumstance, never arriving anywhere you truly want to be. But with clarity, even the strongest storm cannot knock you off course, because you know where you are headed. Ask yourself, if you stripped away fear, doubt, and the opinions of others, what would you want most? Who would you become? What life would you live? Write it down, see it clearly. Let it burn into your mind until it becomes undeniable. That is your North Star. That is the anchor that will keep you steady when temptation and distraction try to pull you away. Without it, life feels heavy. With it, life feels directed, powerful, and purposeful. Clarity is not about predicting the future. It is about defining it. You do not need to know every step. You just need to know the destination, because when the destination is clear, the path reveals itself along the way, and every choice you make becomes easier because it has a filter. Does this bring me closer to my vision, or does it pull me further away? With clarity, the noise fades, decisions sharpen, and progress accelerates. When clarity meets discipline, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing everything and start building something. You stop living by accident and start living by design. And once you have tasted the power of clarity, you will never again settle for drifting. You will choose direction. You will choose purpose. And in that choice, you will discover the deepest level of control, the ability to live a life that is not random, but intentional, not reactive, but created, not empty, but full of meaning. Clarity shows you where to go, but belief is what gives you the strength to take each step. Without belief, clarity collapses. Without belief, discipline feels impossible. Without belief, persistence fades. Belief is a foundation of control, because every action you take is filtered through the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you are capable of. If that story is weak, your actions will be weak. If that story is powerful, your actions will be unstoppable. Belief is not about ignoring reality. It is about shaping it. Science proves that the brain responds to expectation. What you believe influences your emotions, your decisions, your persistence, and even your physical performance. When you believe you can rise, your body responds with energy, your mind responds with creativity, and your spirit responds with resilience. But when you believe you are not enough, every step feels heavier, every obstacle feels larger, and every failure feels final. The belief you carry becomes the lens through which you see the world. Change the belief, and the world itself changes. Many people wait for evidence before they believe. They think they must first see the results, first prove their work, first achieve the dream. But belief does not work that way. Belief comes first. It is belief that creates the evidence, not the other way around. Every breakthrough in history began with someone who chose to believe before the world gave them permission. Every success story is rooted in someone who held a vision in their mind long before it was visible to anyone else. You must do the same. You must decide that your belief will be unshakable, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. Doubt will always whisper. It will tell you that you are too late, too weak, too flawed, too far behind. Doubt is persuasive because it speaks in the voice of fear. But fear is only a signal. It is not a truth. Fear points to where growth is waiting. Belief is the weapon that allows you to walk through that fear and prove it wrong. Every time you choose belief over doubt, you rewire your mind. You teach yourself that you are capable, that you are strong, that you are worthy of the life you are chasing. Ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped doubting your ability and started trusting it? What doors would open if you believed you had everything it takes to build the life you want? What risks would you take? What limits would you break? Belief is not a luxury. It is a necessity, because no matter how much clarity you have, no matter how much discipline you practice, no matter how much persistence you show, if you do not believe in your ability to reach the destination, you will sabotage yourself before you ever arrive. Belief is the seed of transformation. Plant it deeply, nurture it daily, and protect it fiercely. Surround yourself with reminders of your strength, with proof of your progress, with words that reinforce the vision you hold. Each time you act with belief, you strengthen it. Each time you silence doubt, you reinforce it. And soon belief stops being something you practice and becomes something you embody. When belief becomes part of you, control becomes natural. You no longer wrestle with whether you can or cannot. You no longer hesitate at the edge of opportunity. You move with certainty. You act with conviction. And you live with the unshakable truth that nothing can stop a person who truly believes they were born to rise. Belief builds strength, but action turns that strength into reality. Without action, belief is only potential energy locked inside you, waiting to be released. The world does not reward what you think you can do. It rewards what you actually do. Every dream you hold, every vision you imagine, every goal you desire only becomes real through the choices you make and the actions you take. Action is the heartbeat of transformation. It is the proof that you are no longer waiting for change, but creating it. The human mind loves to prepare, to plan, to wait for the perfect moment, but the perfect moment never arrives. There will always be uncertainty, always be risk, always be something incomplete. Action requires courage because it demands you step forward without guarantees. But psychology shows that action itself builds confidence. You do not wait until you feel ready to act. You act, and that action makes you ready. You step into the unknown, and with every step, the unknown becomes familiar. The greatest trap is overthinking. Overthinking paralyzes you with endless questions. What if it fails? What if I'm not good enough? What if it is not the right time? These questions disguise themselves as wisdom, but they are fear in disguise. The only way to silence them is through movement, because action cuts through doubt faster than thought ever can. You cannot think your way into a new life. You can only act your way into one. Every small action matters. Never underestimate the power of a single step. The brain releases dopamine not only when you achieve a goal, but also when you make progress toward it. That means each step fuels momentum. Each step creates energy. Each step proves to yourself that change is real. And as those steps accumulate, they build unstoppable momentum. Momentum that carries you through the hardest days and keeps you pushing forward when comfort calls you back. Ask yourself, what action are you avoiding right now? What decision have you delayed, telling yourself you will start tomorrow, next week, next month? What dream has been sitting in your heart, waiting for you to finally honor it with movement? You already know what it is. The truth is, waiting has never brought anyone closer to their vision. Only action has. And the longer you wait, the heavier the regret becomes. But the moment you move, the weight begins to lift, replaced by energy, by pride, by momentum that no hesitation can stop. Action is a commitment. It is a declaration that your future matters more than your fear, more than your comfort, more than your excuses. Each time you choose action, you cast a vote for the person you want to be. And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. You become a person who moves, a person who does, a person who refuses to live trapped in hesitation. When action becomes your default, you stop fearing failure because you realize failure is just feedback. You stop fearing risk because you realize risk is the price of growth. You stop fearing judgment because you realize judgment cannot touch someone who is too busy moving forward to care. That is the freedom action gives you, the freedom to live without chains, without hesitation, without regret, the freedom to finally take control of your life and never look back.